Just a bit backstory before we get into what I'm going to read. I had come all over Europe, and I was on my way down to Greece, and we had heard there's a place down in southern Crete called Matala where you could live in a cave. So that's where my girlfriend and I ended up. Joanne and I were living in this cave in Matala on the south of Crete. I was living in the age of Aquarius. Psychedelic memorabilia were everywhere. Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds played on the radio, touting the wonder and joys of tripping on LSD. No problems, just enlightenment, a new exciting experience. A couple of new guys had come into town on Friday, and the grapevine had it that they were toting a few trip strips, paper squares that had just enough chemical on it for one day's LSD trip. By late afternoon, curiosity moved in and overwhelmed whatever good judgment was trying to survive in my adventure-seeking heart. I picked up one of those Lick'em strips for about $10 with a plan to take it early the next morning so I could enjoy my trip all day long. The day dawned bright and sunny with sunbeams streaming in the wide cave opening. I reached over and pulled out the small strip with a round dot on it and touched it to my tongue. No taste. I licked it a few times just to make sure I got all the stuff off it and waited. Nothing. And waited. Nothing. About 15 minutes in, lying on my back and staring up at the stone ceiling, I noticed the walls begin to undulate, looking almost like waves of a pool, light reflecting and accenting every peak and trough. Cool. This stuff was beginning to work. Remembering that this was cleanup day, and I had organized this cleanup day because the beach was destroyed, and I had organized everybody to show up. And many had agreed to meet down on the beach to pitch in, and I dressed and headed that way, carefully picking my way down the rocky trail on the side of the cliff past all the other caves. The path wasn't dangerously steep, but the drop-off was, and you had to carefully choose each step. A dozen or so volunteers showed up, bags in hand, to begin the cleanup effort. We fanned out in different directions, and I headed away from the gentle waves lapping up on the beach. Something very unusual behind me caught my attention. It was a huge grayish brown with large watery eyes and monstrous ears. That was the biggest and ugliest rabbit I had ever seen. As I approached it, an awful, discordant braying sound erupted from its twisted, gaping, upturned mouth. Wow, I didn't know rabbits could make such loud noises. Again, he threw his head back, flipping those huge, pointy gray ears. Another loud, cacophonous cry came out of the yellow, tooth-lined orifice. I backed up carefully from this strange, intimidatingly scary creature. On to the task at hand. I came across what appeared to me a huge field of trash and garbage and settled in to do my part. But after a very lengthy effort to completely clean this area, someone pointed out that I was sitting at a campfire pit, picking out cigarette butts and other tiny bits of trash, not making much of a contribution to the enormous cleanup effort. I laughed hysterically at my ludicrous perception. Memory of that day grew dim as the late afternoon sun began to cast longer and darker shadows. A friend invited Joanne and me to climb up to his cave. It was dark inside, and several were sitting around a glowing candle, carefully propped up in the middle of the circle of folks. I glanced around a small area that began to look reddish dark with shadows dancing on the walls. Then I focused on the guy who invited us. His face morphed into the distorted and grizzled face of a devil, looking at me with sickening cackle and repeating, "It's okay, it's okay." Now, looking to the others in the dark crimson room, their faces were also changed, each one looking hauntingly demonic and rhythmically repeating the original, "It's okay, it's okay," in monotonous, mocking sing-song. No matter where I looked, I saw the same demon-like creatures reaching out to me and beckoning me to join them. The thought crossed my mind that my mind had stretched too far on this trip and that it had snapped, and forever I would see this horrifying image, not just here and now, but for eternity. I would hear the mocking chant, "It's okay, it's okay," forever. The thought that I was sitting in an asylum, now crazy, only hearing and seeing the same thing. My mind totally snapped from reality, and now it's years, even decades down the road. "It's okay. It's okay. The thought scared me to the marrow of my bones and began to scream and scream and scream. Joanne quickly ushered me out of the cave. What a relief. My mind hadn't snapped after all. We picked our way down the trail, down to the beach, back down towards town. Watching my feet walk would send me right back to that scary sensation of being broken, and I would see his image forever. But I'd look up and it would stop. Something terrifying happened in that cave. It truly was a mind-blowing awareness of another dimension in this world. And that time wasn't just here and now, but a slice of real eternity.